streamlined manner so that you can pay attention to your own business versus messing around with the platform, trying to figure out, how do I adjust my zip codes, my targeting, and so forth. So this dedicated marketplace is really built to connect you with high intent shoppers to really ultimately focus on your business, which is growing your business. And a major part of utilizing the lead marketplace is the type of pricing we've brought to bear, which is smart pricing. I would think of this, and we'll dive deeper here in the next few slides. I would think of smart pricing, or what we refer to as setting a cost per policy goal or target, is having the ability to have almost in-house data analytics without having to pay for that data analytics team member. So someone who can, if you had somebody on your staff that could look at, the sources that you're buying from and what you should right price each lead in real time, that is something that nobody has brought to the marketplace. Usually it's a fixed price, some negotiated price, and then it's a mixed bag of the types of leads and sources that you're tapping into. And so with the Farmers Lead Marketplace, and again, we'll talk about how you set your cost per policy and what that's all about. It's really about giving you guys the power to almost bid like a carrier would in this instance, which is super powerful. So if we could go to the next slide. So building a better lead buying experience. We thought of multiple things when we collectively, again, spoke about what this Farmers Lead Marketplace would look like. And we wanted to make sure that, first off, that this is an effortless experience for you, the agent, okay? Fewer settings. I know generally agents say, I would love to have X, Y, and Z, but the reality is that if you build something a little bit more elegant, that addresses each agent's needs as far as the types of consumers that you're looking to go after, you can in fact make it very streamlined so that the user interface is very easy to use, yet it provides a robust management experience. Okay, so that was one of the first things that we thought of in creating this Farmers Lead Marketplace for you, the agent. We also thought about what are the consumer types that you need and what are agents going after today, right? What are the segmentations that we need to have? And you'll find that when you log into ultimately the Farmers Lead Marketplace, the concentration is on multiple items: multi-car homeowner, multi-car renter. And so we've laid it out exactly so you don't, again, have to go through multiple steps to design a consumer that fits your customer base. That's already been done for you. Okay. And the third thing that, again, we really concentrated on, and maybe that should have been placed up first because we're talking about it so much, is the power of managed services, is the power of having a data analytics team without paying for a data analytics team that is helping you right price every lead based on a cost per policy goal. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide, and I know there's probably going to be lots of questions, and Emma is going to do her best to answer those in real time, and then as we're chatting away, as well as we'll reserve a lot of time at the end to answer your questions. But picking up off of point number 3 and talking about managed services, if we could go to the next slide, Alyssa, it's understanding cost per policy. Okay. Again, historically and today, a lot of agents are working with vendors and buying leads, and you're negotiating a price, and that price may be $5, or I want to buy 1,000 leads for $3, or maybe it's standard. It's, hey, this is a $13 lead, for a premium type lead, and a premium plus is $16, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, what happens when you work in this type of environment is that you're often overpaying for lower quality sources and you're underpaying and not being able to participate in acquiring higher quality leads at the end of the day. When you negotiate a price and you're working off of a fixed price, this is the give and take of a fixed price model. However, when you work off of a cost per policy goal or target, okay, you backed into a number, okay, that you as an agent are willing to pay to secure that policy. So when you look at cost per policy, the calculation is done by dividing the total lead cost by the number of policies bound. The focus is on policies bound, okay? So ideally, on the right-handed example there, if you've purchased 1,000 leads, okay, and let's say that you've paid a $6 cost per lead average, that's what it's worked out to be, and you've paid $6,000 in total to acquire those 1,000 leads over some extended period of time, and you've secured 12 policies. So the calculation indicates that based off of a cost per policy, your cost per policy target would be $500 in this instance. Okay, this is purely as an example, just to get our minds and heads wrapped around what this might be. So if in our platform, the Farmers Lead Marketplace platform, when I say ours, when you set a $500 target for a cost per policy, your ultimate price, what you're paying per lead, is going to fluctuate. So we always refer to it as your average cost per lead. Okay, not your actual cost, your average cost per lead will fluctuate, because in some instances, you may pay $15, $16, $17, $18 for that lead. And in other instances, you may actually pay $2, $3, or $4 for that lead. Because the system will always right price and look at the sources. And how does it right price? It right prices based off of conversion data that we are ingesting. So we know which sources, and when I speak about sources, these are the publishing sources, right? These are the sources through which leads are being delivered. What are the sources? The sources are sources that Media Alpha owns and operates. Example, officialcarinsurance.com is a website site that we own and operate, as well as a multitude of third-party partners that we have that we vetted, and that a lot of you may be familiar with, by the way. So if we could go to the next slide real quick. So I think this lays it out and dives in a little bit deeper at the end of the day. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the types of the lead types that we've created: Premium Plus, Premium, Preferred Plus, and Preferred. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the example cost per policy goal. Okay, this is an example. Ultimately, the cost per policy goals are set between you and one of our sales account executives. And we'll talk about, during your call with them, you'll talk about what state you're in, the geography that you're looking to target, and they'll work with you to find the right cost per policy goal or target to set. So this is just an example here. But the example is meant to really highlight what's on the right-hand side, the illustrative example, which is if your cost per policy goal target is $500 and your agency converts at a 4% on average, at a 4% conversion rate, what this dictates to the platform, to the Farmers Lead Marketplace, is that your threshold is $20. Okay, that you can pay up to $20, that the system can optimize up to $20. That doesn't mean that your average lead price will be $20 at the end of the day, because again, some sources based on the conversion data may indicate that that source's lead that we're about to deliver to you is really only worth $3, $4, $5. Okay, so our algorithms will help align and work with you to set the expected price based on the conversion rates that you relay back to us. We'll help you set your cost per policy goal by consumer type. Okay, that's the other thing. It doesn't look at it as one lump. You said a $700 cost per policy for everything. It's for those consumer types. Some consumer types have higher values than other consumer types, right? And it's really drawn out there where you have a premium plus consumer type, which has 2+ cars and a home versus a preferred, which is a single car owner and potentially a renter in that instance. So when we get into the platform, I'll illustrate a little bit more. And I bet there's a bunch of questions right now that Emma is probably fielding around this, but it's actually a very, very simple concept once you're actually in it and using it. And you see that, no, you are not paying $500 for a lead. That is your goal, that is your target, and our algorithms do the right thing in pricing, real-time pricing, each lead that you buy. So jumping into the Farmers Lead Marketplace, which is a unique experience, I'm going to go ahead and take over at this point and share my screen, if that's okay. And if I could just get a verbal yes, if you all can see my screen that I'm sharing at this moment.
It looks great.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. So you contact one of our sales account executives after this call, as Taylor mentioned. Everybody on this call, including some folks who are not on the call, that was on the invite list, will receive an email right at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Depending on where you are, might be a different time. But at 10 a.m. Pacific, you will get an email from us. That email will be basically your ability to inbound and let us know that you're interested in potentially signing up. So I'm sure you'll have a bunch of questions for our sales team, account executives. They're professional. They'll walk you through it if need be. They'll even give you another demo if necessary. But we'll try to do a fairly comprehensive job here walking through the platform. So this is what you see, your Farmers Lead Marketplace portal. So first things first, once we've gone through the initial, what's your AOR, let's set you up, you will have access to this. You will have 24/7 access to the Farmers Marketplace portal here, okay? So you could come in and you can enable the account, you can disable the account, you have full control yourself. So while we provide each of you a client success team member to work with, and highly encourage setting up your bi-weekly cadence calls, some instances, maybe you want a weekly one just out of the gate. Emma and her team, members are dedicated to you. You will have a point of contact. In fact, at the bottom left-hand corner, you will see, right now it says my name, obviously, but Summer Reynolds may be your account client success team member. You'll have their email, you'll have their phone number, so you'll have full access to be able to reach them and communicate and make any changes that are necessary. But you yourself can do it, and that's really what I wanted to impress on all of you, is that this is available to you for use. So with that said, out of the gate, we have auto and we have home. Okay, so I can toggle between the two of these. For the purposes of the demo, we will go ahead and just walk through auto since it's the first tab. So I've already set my state as California. That's where I am. You have a couple of options as we walk through this when you're setting up your geography as an agent. You can target the entire state. You can target within a radius. So generally, how you would target the radius is I'm in the 91207 area code here. And I can dictate to the platform, to the marketplace here, that I want to target a 100-mile radius around my zip code. But I can also narrow that down to 50 miles or 25 miles or all the way down to just 1 mile. Keeping in mind that the more restrictive you make the radius, the possibilities of having a consumer inquire and for you to, get a customer in that matter, gets tighter and tighter, right? As you reduce that radius. And you can increase the radius, and if you happen to be in a city that borders another state and you set a large radius, it will not flow over into the neighboring state. Okay, so even though you have a large radius that you're targeting, it'll target 1,000 miles within the state, but it will never bounce over to the next state over. Okay, if you do serve multiple states, our team can set up this account so you can acquire leads from more than one state, 2 states, 3 states, 4 states, however many states that you serve, that your agency serves. Okay. The other thing that you could do with geography is targeted by zip code as well. So if I've spoken with a lot of agents, this, acquiring leads is old hat for a lot of you. You've been doing it for many, many years. You may even have an Excel sheet with all the zip codes that you target. You can just grab that line, copy it all the way, paste it in here, and then save, and you're ready to go. Okay, so that's another option. Other things that geography allows you to do is you can exclude zip codes. So if you're targeting an entire state, but you'd like to exclude zip codes because you can't write in those particular zip codes, that's already that's available here. If you don't want to get so granular via zip codes, you can also do it by county as well. So I don't know why, but if you can't write in Butte, California, you could go ahead and set that, but you can also set multiple counties if that's the case. So a lot of flexibility when it comes to what you can include and exclude, obviously, within the program. So you can include zip codes and counties, exclude zip codes and counties. Now, once that's set, the consumer types, okay? So the consumer types, the default is cost per policy goal setting. So if I select this top button here on type, it'll automatically enable all of the various different types that are available today for auto, okay? And on the right-hand side, you'll see, and you can adjust it, right? Even though there's a suggestion of $700, $650, $500, and $350, you can adjust this. So in your state, if you're much more comfortable with the $500 cost per policy for Premium Plus, let's say $450 for Premium and so forth, you can go ahead and work with one of our team members to set the appropriate cost per policy goals, okay? They will also be able to guide you and let you know, based on data that we have, what we're seeing in the marketplace and help you get the right cost per policy goal. Again, just to reiterate, if you put $500, don't worry, that does not mean that every lead that you buy is going to be $500. What it tells us is that to acquire one policy, okay, that you're willing to spend up to $500 in this instance. And so our enhanced algorithms in the background are looking at the conversion data that we have. They're looking at the sources and how those sources are converting, and they will start to pay the right price for top quality sources and top quality leads, and it will right price downward for lower quality sources, okay? Now, well, why do I want to buy lower quality sources? Why wouldn't I just focus on, the highest quality sources? That's a question that we receive all the time. Because everything has a value at the end of the day. So when I say lower quality sources, it just means instead of converting 1 out of 5, that source may be converting 1 out of 10. Now, if you're paying fixed price, you're certainly overpaying for the source that's converting 1 out of 10, let's say. It's just an example. Or 1 out of 20, or 1 out of 30. But what our system does, the Farmers Lead Marketplace does, that is so different, is it right prices. So for that particular lead, it may right price it to pay only $2, 50 cents. This is a possibility. Okay. And in other instances, it may pay a source $20. So I know agents are saying, my gosh, why would I ever pay $20 for a data lead? Because we know that this source is of the highest quality, and that at the end of the day, based on your cost per policy targeting, it will back up or back out, I should say. And everything is moving in real time, by the way. Okay, nothing is static. So it's constantly gaining data and information and always right pricing on your behalf. So as conversion data comes in, our algorithms and our system knows exactly what to pay for those sources. Okay, so there's a right. So what I'm impressing on the group here today is that there is a right price for every lead, and it's certainly not the fixed price model where you're overpaying. In a lot of cases, you're overpaying. Other things that you could do is set a daily limit. So if you'd like 15 leads a day, up to 15 leads a day, you can set that. If you're a smaller agency and you want 3, 4, 5 leads, daily, you can set that as well. Now, if you have all of the lead types checked off and you have a daily limit of 5, keep in mind, if all of them are checked off, you may get 4 premium leads and 1 preferred plus lead. That's a possibility. You can speak with a sales executive and do it on a lead cap by type, okay? But generally, the default is you're setting the daily limit. I think another question that is posed to us that I get from our sales team leaders and our client success team leaders, well, I set a daily limit of 20. I didn't get 20. So the daily limit is really meant to ensure that you don't buy more leads than you're willing to work in any given day. But depending on multiple factors, your geography, how tight or wide you've set it, what you're targeting in your area, and certainly, where, at the end of the day, what your cost per policy target is and what you're willing to pay for these leads, all factor in on a daily basis. So it's a real-time environment. Consumers are shopping. Some days there's a lot more consumer shopping. Other days there's a lot less consumer shopping. So in the marketplace, there's just no way to guarantee that if you set a cap of 20, 25, 50, or 100, that you're going to hit it every day, but it's going to ensure that you don't exceed it if you are hitting it. Okay. And as far as, trying to achieve a particular number of leads, again, this is something that you speak with our sales team and our client success team. That's what they're there for, to help you optimize and set that. And sometimes it takes, a week or 2 or more to find that right balance, to make sure that you're getting, the quantity, the price that you're willing to pay, and so forth. And then finding the right geography to fit it within that, as well as your scheduling, which leads me into scheduling here. So depending on where your agency is located, you can set Mountain, Eastern, Central, Pacific, and so forth. You can set what time zone you're in, okay? And then as well as select the days that you're wanting your team to work leads, or you yourself will work leads. So you can opt into Monday or deselect Mondays. If maybe right out of the gate on Mondays, you do a lot more customer service type calls, but a lot of agents are just hit the ground running on Mondays. You can set this up and say, okay, as soon as 8 a.m. in the morning until 5 p.m., I'd like to receive leads because I close shop at 6. I'd like my last lead to potentially come in at 5 o'clock so I can kind of work it and wrap it up. But very flexible. You control this. What agents can also do, you as an agent can do, is you can set when you're going to receive your lead and actually terminate receiving leads at 11:30 a.m. because your team and yourself, you're going to take lunch or you have an appointment and whatnot. And you can go ahead and pick right back up by clicking that little plus button and say, at 1 o'clock, I'd like to start potentially receiving leads again until 5 p.m. So you could do that. You have the flexibility of doing that for every single day of the week. And of course, if you don't work Sundays and you would not like to receive any leads on Sundays, you could just click off the check mark on any of the days, in fact, and you will not receive leads for that day. What we have some agents doing, instead of enabling or pausing their accounts, especially when a holiday is coming, they'll log in and they'll just, last Monday was a holiday, right? Martin Luther King Day. You could just uncheck that day and you won't receive leads that day. And then you'll pick right back up on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Later on, when, during the week, when you log back into your account, you can go ahead and recheck Monday so that the following week you're ready to go. And of course, you can always reach out to your client success manager and say, pause it for these days or these times, and they will accommodate. They'll take care of it for you. How are your leads delivered? So Apex is already integrated. We're set up via Apex. We also have secondary CRM integrations available, dual integrations available. So if you're working with an agency Zoom or Ricochet, you can do dual integration and have it delivered to Apex as well as Ricochet. And we also have, due to higher demand, a triple integration, which is Apex, Ricochet, and agency Zoom. Emma, keep me honest if I misspeak here, but I believe that's set up. And then if there are one-offs, that it's a required triple integration, please let us know. We are definitely happy to consider and integrate a triple integration. And the fact is, we are integrated with most CRMs today. So that's a conversation, again, that I encourage you to have with your sales executive as well as your client success team member. Emma, did I misspeak about the existing triple integration between Apex, Agency Zoom, and Ricochet?
Nope, you're dead on. That's correct.
Excellent, excellent. Finally, and I want to leave a substantial amount of time for Q&A, but a couple of things I want to touch on, and then we can wrap it up. So as you start buying leads and as you're opted into the lead types, Lead Insights will start to give you better information as to how many leads are available, what you're missing out on, perhaps, opportunities to opt into certain lead types that you're not opting into. So this is just for demo, forgive me for the zeros here, but ultimately you will be able to see, total volume of leads per week, how, that volume changes over time, where that volume exists, is it premium plus, is it premium, what's the differentiation in volume between the two. So a lot more insights here available, and over time, a lot more will be added as well. Okay. For team members, for agencies that say, well, cost per policy is great, sounds great, you see, you're still a little unsure about it, you can actually, we can go and switch you to standard, what we call standard bidding. And that will actually change things up. And because it's in pause mode, it's not letting me do it, but it will change it up so that when you're working with your sales executive, you'll be able to put whatever fixed price you want. So if it's $8 or $5 or $10, whatever it is, you can bid for these different lead types just based on a fixed price. So if it's, sorry, $15 for a premium plus and so forth, you can do that and the system will honor your fixed price. So as backup, we do have that available, and we have had some agents that have gone fixed price ultimately to hear from their friends that cost per policy is working really well, and then they switch to cost per policy. But out of the gate, we encourage all of you to target cost per policy because, again, the power that this delivers, the differentiator, is something that's really not available out in the marketplaces today. You start buying leads are flowing through your integrations via Apex, Agency Zoom, Ricochet, but you also have access to your leads here, okay, in the Farmers Lead Marketplace dashboard. So you have access to all of your leads here. You can see when, the name, the phone number, the product. You can also, let me move this out of the way. You can also, for your own purposes within the Farmers Lead Marketplace dashboard, have your team members, as they're working these leads, change the status to contacted, quoted, or sold. Or if the customer was, you went through the process of quoting them and ultimately they decided not to bind the policy, you can mark it as unsold as well. Okay. So you can go ahead and update these as you work the leads. If I click on the name of the lead, in this case, Sammy, you can see when Sammy's lead came in November 10th, okay, demo. You can also see the time when that lead arrived at 2:41 p.m. Pacific time. In addition to that information, you have all of the PII info listed, the driver's info here, of course, as well as the type of auto. And if they have multiple auto cars, you'll see all of the information for those different cars listed one after another. And if there's multiple drivers, same thing. You'll see the primary driver, driver number 1, driver number 2, and so forth. So it'll be all listed there. Super important. How do I return leads if it's a bad lead? You will need to come into the marketplace. You will need to come here. You will need to go to My Leads. You will need to go on the lead that you try to call and it was a fake for some reason. Sammy doesn't exist, whatever the case may be, right? There's a button right here called Request Return. This is how simple it is. You just click on that button and then you select the valid reason as to why you're returning, and then you hit Submit Request. Okay. As soon as you submit request, our automated system will review the information. Once accepted, it will recredit your account for that lead spend. Okay. So it'll recredit it. You're not billed for that lead, and you can continue buying additional leads after that. So super important. My Lead tab, click on the consumer's name, go down to Request Return, and that's how simple it is to return a lead. You have a 7-day window to return leads, by the way. This is super important. So if you have a lead, don't sit on it. If it's a bad lead, don't sit on it for more than a week. There is a 7-day window from when you first receive the lead to return it. Okay. Otherwise, there is no automated system, and doing these things manually is just not an option. A couple of other things. All leads returned will be listed, so you can have a running tab and account for yourself to see which leads you've returned. This is my demo account, so you'll see some of the PII information. That PII information on your end will be obfuscated, so you will no longer have access to some of the information there. But you can see that the lead was returned, and that in fact that lead returned, when it was received and when it was returned. So all the data is there and the reason for the return. And all of this is exportable, by the way. So at the end of the day, you can export this into an Excel file and keep it for your own records. Any and all transactions that you conduct within the lead marketplace are all registered. So once you set up your wallet, your budget, and then once you start acquiring leads, all lead amounts, okay, now I wish this was variable because it will be when you're using cost per policy, but for illustration purposes, everything shows $10 here. For every lead that you buy, you'll see what you were charged. And then for every lead that was returned and accepted, you'll see the credit amount as well. Okay. Our team will work with you to set up your wallet via your AOR account. So you'll be all set there, built through Folio. For whatever reason, if you are not Folio eligible, which I don't ever know if there's a case where that could happen, but if you're not, you do have a prepay option via credit card as well. So we got you. If you're not Folio eligible, you can continue to buy leads via credit card. And so lastly, support. We've gone through the feature sets. This is how intuitive, streamlined we've made the Farmers Lead Marketplace with your leadership team, and ultimately support. In addition to being able to call your client success team member or email them, if you really quickly want to come in here and write, reason why you need help, it'll open up a ticket for you. So for example, pause account from January 28th through February 1, leaving on vacation. Okay, super simple. You can create this, submit it. Any one of our team members, not just your dedicated client success team member, any one of our team members will pick up this ticket and react quickly. This is done so that, dedicated client success team members work with a multitude of agents. And we wanted to make sure that you as an agent have immediate access to our team if your dedicated client success manager is busy at the moment. So you could create this ticket. We will handle it. We will send you confirmation that this has been done. Dear Joan, rest assured, January 28th, your account has been paused and it is set to be re-enabled February 1st. And that's it. You come back to work February 1st and leads start flowing again. In addition to this, any questions that you have, we have a FAQ section, and we have a learning center here with additional one-sheeters and additional information about the marketplace that you can download and have your team review. Sometimes we'll, have new products there. We'll make email announcements. You can go and get the one-sheeter for that, and then we can have a great engaged conversation based on that. So, with that said, I will stop with almost 15 minutes to spare, so we can answer any and all questions that you all have. But before we do that, branded leads. I need 2 more minutes. Branded leads. Didn't really get a chance to jump into branded leads. This is something very unique for Farmers Lead Marketplace. Branded leads is something that, in conjunction with Farmers and Media Alpha, what we brought to bear is the ability for agents, or what we are bringing to bear is for the ability for agents to acquire leads in a way that carriers have been doing for a long time, and that's via click. There are sources out there that historically have not generated leads for agents, okay? What they have provided is an avenue for carriers to be able to acquire clicks that then move on to the form that the consumer will fill out, and then they'll receive a quote or may, ultimately the carrier may give to an agent. But in this scenario, whether it be one of our sources that we work with, that we have a fairly exclusive relationship with, i.e. a Credit Karma, for example, consumer will go to auto insurance, click on it, they will see a farmer's ad, they click on that farmer's ad, they'll go through a white labeled experience, they'll fill out all of the necessary information that you as an agent would need to be able to provide that consumer a quote and contact that consumer. These are super high quality leads, okay? Historically, we've seen these types of leads perform a lot greater than regular leads that are available out in the marketplace, anybody's marketplace for that matter. So again, a very unique experience, a differentiator, something different that your leadership and Media Alpha is collaborating on. And I believe we are fairly close to potentially launching this, but stay tuned. More information to come out here. Reporting, next slide. Oh.
I think, oh, it's that one.
Yeah, reporting. Working with our client success team, we'll be able to get some reporting data and information for all of you for your accounts. Okay, so we can establish some canned reports. We're also working on giving the platform itself capabilities of having some of these metrics available in there. So stay tuned as we work on V2, V3, and so forth in the future. And then finally, as we mentioned, after this call is over, you will get an email, and I'm hoping all 353 people that attended today sign in and schedule time with one of our sales team executives to sign up. And so with that, I'll go ahead and stop, and we'll open it up for Q&A.
Thank you so much. Okay, we do have lots of questions. Just a quick reminder, if you click the Q&A button at the top, you can input your questions there, and if we don't get to everything, we can follow up after the call. Okay. First question is for Allison. Will any of our cost share go towards the cost of this?
Hey everyone, cost share is not eligible for leads right now. It's something we're still evaluating, opening up for 2026. We'll communicate any changes if we're able to make them, but for agents who have lead bucks or prime bucks eligible, those will spend at 100% on leads in the marketplace.
Is that good, buddy? Thank you so much. And the next two questions are for you as well. The next one is, will DMs also get an invitation to have access, or will they already have access? Can a DM see what agents are actively using the lead marketplace?
Yeah, all DMs should have received an invite via email to sign up for the marketplace. You'll also find a link to sign up on the AGP site. If you go to the leads tab, there should be a link at the top of that screen, but I'll also ask Media Alpha to resend that link out to all DMs just in case you guys missed that. The second question on reporting, we do plan to give you access to some insights into your agent's lead purchasing. It's not ready yet, so be on the lookout, coming soon.
Thank you so much. And last question for you before we pass it over to Media Alpha. Do we have to be a part of the AGP to have access to the lead marketplace?
You do not need to be enrolled in AGP to access the marketplace, but I will give a plug for AGP. There are a lot of benefits to being enrolled, so take a look if you haven't had a chance to sign up.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we are transferring to the Media Alpha team. First question is, will this integrate with my agency Zoom account?
Yes, it will.
Perfect. Okay, this next one, bidding sounds already saturated and expensive. If we were to add another 2,000 agents, wouldn't this just drive up the pricing more for everyone?
That's a great question. I'll tackle that. No, because ultimately you're working off of your cost of policy target. So our system is never going to try to outdo itself in that instance. And again, ultimately you work with our team to make sure that we have the right types, lead types, geography, and hours of operation set up. Especially larger, if you're targeting a larger swath of zip codes or the entire state, generally you're not going to have as much of an issue. You can also diversify, and not just buying home, but buying auto plus home. I know a lot of farmers agents are super interested in home from the feedback that I've received. We're constantly looking at as well and evaluating the highest quality sources. So that's another avenue. Plus, the other thing I would say is utilizing cost per policy allows you to tap into some of the highest quality sources that you historically have not been able to tap into, because bidding a fixed price of, like I was mentioning, $10 is never going to allow you to tap into sources where those sources justifiably are selling those leads for $15 or $20. So the volume actually increases because now through cost per policy, you're able to right price and bid higher for those leads that are available. But on the flip side, it is also maintaining your overall cost per policy goal and target, and looking at those other sources generally have a lot of volume, but the conversion rates are a little bit lower, and right pricing those to make sure that, again, we're hitting your the right cost per policy target number.
Thank you so much. Next question is, can staff also make changes?
They can, yes. So if you have any producers that you want to have access to the account, our team can set up user accounts for them, and they can have the same ability to go in and make any settings changes.
Perfect. Is there a max on the number of zip codes?
That you could exclude or include. There's no maximum. You can exclude or include as many zip codes as you want. That being said, we always recommend that you target as wide of a geography as possible. That just naturally will make sure you're open to more volume.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me go to the next question. What sources are used for the leads?
So our owned and operated sources, first and foremost, as well as third-party partners that we've teamed up with and that we've historically had relationships with. There's such a plethora of sources that are available right now. So, you know, it could be a Lead Economy, it could be, you know, Insurify, it could be any one of those sources that are available in our marketplace.
Thank you so much. How can you add an agency Zoom to a LMS to receive these?
So if you have agency Zoom, you can work with your sales executive or your client success manager, and they would just need the webhook that's associated with that integration, and we can plug that in.
Perfect. Can my producers log in and pause their leads when needed?
So anybody that has access to the account and we create user accounts for can log in and pause the account, but it would pause the account universally. It wouldn't pause leads just for that one producer.
Thank you so much. Are these online leads that are filling out a form?
Yes, correct.
Okay. What about Little Giant?
We are integrated with Little Giant.
Okay. A lot of questions on returning. So how would we, first one is, how would we be able to return that lead?
So if you go into the lead in the Farmers Lead Marketplace, there will be a request return button on the bottom left, and you can hit that and select one of the available return reasons. You have to do that within 7 days of receiving the lead to get credit back.
What's the second one? That there's too much fucking garbage over here? Yeah. Sure got that right.
Okay. Lots of questions. I'm gonna actually skip to another question on returns. Is there a limit on the number of returns?
So while right now our average is around 18-ish% on a return rate, there's no hard limit on 20% or things like that. That being said, if you get, you know, 30, 35%, the client success manager will reach out to find out what might be going on that is causing the return rate to be that high. It's certainly way above our average. And then anybody that's, you know, egregiously returning would potentially be at risk of having return shut off until we can figure out what's going on with the account.
Thank you so much. Does Insight show real-time conversion rate and your real cost per converted policy?
Currently, it doesn't. It does not.
Okay.
But great question, and something that, again, we field these types of questions all the time, and it is in consideration with our product team to add.
Thank you so much. Next question, is there ever a time that you set a cost per policy of say $500 and the lead actually costs $50 to $100? What is the max a lead could cost? And can you see the cost of a specific lead? Kind of a couple questions in there.
Yep, you can see in the transaction, in the left-hand column, as I was doing the demo, there was a tab called transactions. And so every single lead that you've purchased, you can see what the cost for that lead was. As far as, well, I'm sorry, what was the follow-up to that one outside of, can you see the cost? Oh, is it $50 to $100? No, you will not, within the farmer's lead marketplace, you will not experience a situation where the lead will be priced $50 to $100 in that instance. Now, if you have an extremely high cost per policy, there's always a possibility, that could happen. But generally, if you stay within the guidelines of, what we're talking about, you shouldn't have a lead that's costing you $50 to $100.
Turn it down.
And I'll add to that, that while the cost again is very variable based on the cost for policy targeting, some leads may cost $1 or $2, some leads may cost $15. Right now, we're seeing a cost per lead average of 7 to 8-ish for auto and 10 to 12-ish for home.
Okay, since we are actually at the 2-minute mark from when the call will be finished, we have a couple more things to get through. And again, we are going to take all the questions and follow up on any weren't able to be answered. With that, I believe I'm passing it to Taylor.
Yes, thank you so much for all the questions. And I want to remind everyone, we have a lot of resources, available on AGP, but also in the Media Alpha site, we have FAQs, and we're compiling a video for reinforcement as well. So look for that shortly. But a couple of things. Again, we know that cost per policy is a new terminology for a lot of agents. And, the Farmers Lead Marketplace is intended to give you a customizable path. If you're not feeling comfortable with CPP yet, please reach out to the Media Alpha team. In fact, all technical questions can go right out to the Media Alpha team. And I think the next slide, actually it's right here. We have our email address here, perfect. So any technical questions, please reach out to the Media Alpha team. They are sending an email shortly after this call. So everything you need to access the marketplace, talk with the consultant, will be information held on that email. So please fill that out. If you have general questions or feedback, please email us at thefarmers.lead.marketplace@farmersinsurance.com. But you won't be able to access the marketplace, which by the way is free. I saw that question come in, to access it until you complete the link in the email that will be sent to you today. So other than that, we will have more sessions available. I think our next one is Wednesday, if I remember right. And more material coming your way. We would really encourage you to fill out surveys as well. So surveys will be sent to you via email. We want to hear everything that you are wanting to know or need more of. Please fill out the surveys. We look at those the instant you answer them, essentially, and we'll get back to you. So thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, Joey, you get her. You eat now? You finish first? You finish first? Are you all done with your bowl? You still got lots left in your bowl. Did you get tired of the food? Other food seems more enticing. You're not gonna drink that stuff without it? You ever just realize the faces you make? Huh? basics. Now you have